Imagine Bollywood without music. It's impossible, isn't it? The sound of Bollywood is so big that for some people, an Indian film is incomplete without a song. For example, did you know the Indian music market is a multi-million-dollar industry and is one of the largest in the world? That's why the role of music can do wonders for a movie. And music travels a long way, so much so that Bollywood superstars are looking across shores to find new production talent. Gone are the days when music producers only used old-fashioned tablas and sitars. Today, they are experimenting and combining smoky rhythm and blues, hardcore rap, Scottish bagpipes, and Latin vibes, just to name a few. These days, every imaginable sound can be found on a Bollywood soundtrack. And one of the industry's leading Bhangra artists, the infamous Mika Singh, who you may remember for his music in the film Shootout at Lokandwala, in which he sings the famous Gunpat song, was in Toronto recently, teaming up with an independent Canadian producer to create a fresh new sound for his next album. One of the most important things about Bollywood is obviously the music, and one guy who knows how to produce great music is Vikas Kohli, and he's sitting right here beside me, and he's going to be telling us about his recent success in breaking out into Bollywood and what it takes to produce good music. Hey Vikas, how you doing? How you feeling these days?
Feeling okay, a little more tired than what I was, but that's
a little bit
right.
of exhaustion's okay.
Yeah, as long as the music keeps coming out, there's no problem.
That's true. You work a lot of hours, don't you?
Yeah, a little bit too much.
12 hours a day, usually.
Yeah.
So tell us about the recent success. You've broken out into Bollywood. Mika Singh is on your radar, obviously, and you've been working with him for a little while now. So tell us how that happened.
Oh, okay. Well, you know, it was a pretty crazy story. It kind of happened. I didn't really know what was brewing in the background. What would happen was an artist that I'm developing here by the name of Priya, she's a great R&B artist here in Canada. He had heard some of her material in India. I don't know, the CD got into his hands somehow. And then he was on his way over here, and well, he was on his way actually to New York, and he made a stopover in Toronto, dropped by the studio, and before I knew it, he's sitting basically where you are, well, maybe just on the couch over there, and he's just saying, oh, let me hear, you know, some of the other hip-hop you've produced, let me hear some of the rock you produced, the reggae you produced. After about 15, 20 minutes of listening to different things, he just gets up and says, okay, let's go to work.
Oh my goodness.
And there we are.
So he goes from the initial session, and I read then he extended the stay to 3 days, and then to 2 weeks, right?
Yeah. After that first day, exactly like you said, I guess he liked how things were going. He delayed his flight. Couldn't delay it forever. Yeah. He had to be somewhere, I don't know, Star Lifestyle, playing some concert. And then he gives me a call from New York a couple weeks later and says, okay, I'm booking out the studio for the rest of the month. We're going to do the album. It's like, okay, I guess that's how you land a Bollywood contract.
Yeah,
just sort of stay
pretty
in the
solid,
studio. Yeah.
concrete deal.
Basically do nothing, and you get the Bollywood contract.
Kohli says he enjoys working with Mika Singh because he's down to earth and very easy to work with.
He's a really nice guy when it comes down to it. There's no pretension about anything, and it really comes forward in how the songs were built, because you know, when I would bring ideas to him about, oh, let's try this sort of reggae thing or this hip-hop thing or whatever it was we wanted to do, he was like, yeah, that sounds cool, that's great, and you know, really open and set a collaborative tone right from the beginning for the whole project.
Kohli adds his family quickly took notice of the popular music sensation working in his Fat Lab studio. You're breaking into Bollywood. What was your mother's reaction like in terms of you going and working with these superstars?
Well, yeah, you know, well, first of all, yeah, my mother met Mika several times in the whole process, and he was always very respectful, always, you know, namaste auntie ji. And after I told my mom, oh, so, yeah, I might be going to India, just, you know, and she's like, well, when's that? Maybe in a week. And then, so then, you know, the next time Mika meets her, and he's like, oh, namaste auntie ji, and she just turns to him and says, why are you taking my son to India?
To answer his mom's question, it's Kohli's musical vision that landed him this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to work with the megastar Mika. But what is it that sets Vikas Kohli apart from other music producers? The truth is, Kohli is known for his rare multi-genre repertoire and expertise with song compositions, arrangements, and artist development. His strength lies in his ability to fuse different genres of music together. We heard this on the Responsibles album that Kohli produced, where he mixes old-school punk and ska with reggae and bagpipes. For the rock artist Zamir, Kohli fuses rock, jazz, and bhangra to create a fresh new sound. And that's why Mika Singh came knocking, because he wanted his next album to be unconventional.
I can tell you, for instance, the first track, the Whiskey track, is bhangra and meets hip hop, meets R&B, meets some Jamaican reggae. And it all works. It sounds a little crazy, but it all totally works. But, you know, other tracks on the album, we've got Hindi club tracks on the album. We've got sort of pop ballad sort of tracks that they're kind of ripe for the Bollywood movie sort of scene. So we're really crossing a lot of genres and also crossing a lot of language barriers on this album. And, you know, Hindi, Punjabi, English.
It's
and
a big mix.
Yeah, and if you consider Patwa another language, it could be, I suppose.
It is, yes, very much so. So what's your favorite thing about working in Bollywood? There's obviously a lot of creative juices that are flowing, and you're working with a lot of talented people. But what is it for you that you enjoy the most?
You know what? I think there was two things. One, my cell phone didn't work, which made it a lot more peaceful, even though it was such a fast-paced industry there. So that helped get a lot of things done. Second thing was that you learn, right? You learn from the musicians there. You picking up how they work, the pace of their work, the style that they work in, and even just the lingo, right? For instance, there's times when Mika and I, when we're working on a song, we had to translate. How am I supposed to tell him in Punjabi, we need more funk in that track? There's got to be a way, and I had to figure that out and then tell him.
And while Kohli has yet to find a way to say, we need more funk in that track, the duo did complete Mika Singh's 5th album, which is set for international release at the end of November. Tune in next week to part 2 with Vikas Kohli as I get a hands-on lesson in music producing. For Bollywood Boulevard, I'm Veronica Chail.